Hi Leos, welcome to your June 2017 reading. It's going to try to cover homework and relationships. Relationships come in all forms. They come in the form of partnerships. Partnerships come in the form of family members, siblings, parents, children, co-workers, friends. Hopefully everybody's doing all right. Actually, my sister's coming over and she's a Leo. Hopefully she's in a good mood. It's Leos. I got a Leo moon too. Everybody says, oh, well, like Leos are dramatic and, world's got to revolve around them. And okay, let's take it from a science perspective here, okay? So the sun, well, like everything does, why everything revolves around a Leo is because everything planet-wise rotates around the sun, right? Okay? And Leos, when a Leo gets upset, okay, well, what does the sun do? The sun gives off solar rays, right? Like, it can knock out power, right? From the solar flare, it'll knock out power, right? So Leos, when they get upset, and this is the thing, Leos, we got to learn to control this, right? Because the hottest, like the core, right? Like it has protons, neutrons, all of that stuff, it's given out. Like this, the sun gives light. You know what I mean? Actually, Jupiter pulls in a massive amount of the radiation, and this is why like Sagittarians, Sagittarians can bully a bully. You know what I mean? Like because it absorbs the negative radiation coming from the sun and it helps the earth, right? Like it literally from the sun, the solar flares that come out and the radiation that comes out, Jupiter, the earth is here, it kind of like pulls it around in a circle and Jupiter absorbs a massive amount of that. But with Leos too, you got to realize, like from a science perspective, right? Leos, why drama comes to Leos, right? It's not Leos causing the drama. First of all, let's get this right here. We're coming from the science perspective. The sun absorbs a great massive amount of energy from the galaxy, and it does protect the Earth from that, right? So there's also asteroids and stuff like that happen, and the sun pulls that in, and it'll burn it out, and it protects the Earth, right? So it's the same concept with a Leo, okay? Like, so that's why Leos tend to get pulled into drama, is because it's consider it being like an asteroid, right? Like, and an asteroid's a threat, and with a threat, it needs to be extinguished. You know what I mean? Like, so Leos can be considered dramatic, and sometimes, there we go. Sometimes that is, it's like a solar flare, right? Like, and like we got to be careful because with massive solar flares, that's energy that's being built up inside. They knock out power. So Leos do have great power in them, right? They're the leaders. So we have to ensure that it's small, like with small solar flares coming out, bursts of it in different sections, right? So it's not a massive one coming out, because Leos have great power. It's the sun. You can knock out things, right? Like, so if a Leo's not in a good mood, well, then all hell's going to break loose. You guys are going to drain it from everybody else. You know what I mean? There's great power in that. But it's also, you got to be aware that people come around you, they get pulled into negative situations because they're absorbing the energy coming off from the sun, if that makes sense. I don't want to use like big scientific terms. There's no need to use that, right? Like, let's keep things real here, people. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think people realize that. And sometimes Leos, we don't allow those small flares to come out, and if we don't allow our energy to come out in the proper manner, what happens is it's a massive buildup of energy, and then it becomes that solar flare, right? And it's a big outburst, and that's when drama happens, right? Like when we get dramatic. I got a Leo moon, so emotional wise, I can get Leo suns are different than Leo moons, right? Like, so sometimes emotionally, like they can get a little dramatic and go overboard sometimes. Like, for instance, there's a guy that was hitting on me one time, and he's like sent me, sometimes men can be stupid, sent me one of those D pictures. It's like, really, dude? So what does a Leo do? They go over the top. You know what the response to that was for me? I sent him that a link to the YouTube video by Fifth Harmony, Boss, because the lyrics in it, like the beginning of it, was pretty. It pretty much told him off. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Leo moon being dramatic. You know what I mean? It was freaking hilarious to me. You know, it was a Sag Sun with a Sag Mercury. Oh, it was hilarious. All right, you guys, let's get into the cards here. I thought I would bring up that for Leos there, so we can be aware of our energy, right? Like, because Leos, you can't build everything up. You gotta allow it to come out. But like, so in the moment, you gotta allow it to come out. Don't allow it to be built up, right? We don't want that big solar flare. If you just like communicate in the moment, then it's just the small flare coming out, and we don't get that big buildup of energy, right? Because when we do that, literally, Leos, we can boom, it's a solar flare, knock out the power, you know, to Earth. It's like, you know, everything's gone. But if you're dealing with a Leo, like, you have to understand that it's not them being the dramatic one. It's being pulled into them, right? Like, everything revolves around the sun. It's a star, right? It's the only one that's a star, where things don't grow without it. So the first card we have is the Fool. See that card. The second card we have is the Queen of Pentacles. Reminds me of Avatar. You see that movie Avatar? The next card we have is the Empress. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Two of Pentacles. We have the Five of Wands. We have the Knight of Cups. Just move the cards here. We have the King, or not the King, the Knight of Wands. Speech impaired there. We have the Three of Wands as your last card. All right, you guys. Okay, so let's see what we got here. For relationships, okay, you got the Fool here, okay, and then we have the Queen of Pentacles with the Empress. So that's like the Earth Mother, right? So that's like I was talking about in a science term there, like being aware of the solar flares, like the power that a Leo has, right? Like, that's like learning to use that wisely, right? Because Leos are quite magical when they can use that. It's like their partner sign is Aquarius, right? Like, I'm a Sag, but my sister's a Leo sun, and I got the Aquarius, Mars, and Venus. And you'll notice too with people, okay, when you're hanging around certain people, that certain energies come out, right? Like, you act a certain way with different people. Some people you can be funny with. Other people you'll notice that you're quite cynical or serious with. Then there's some friends that you know that you can open up with. Okay, those are different energies being activated from your chart, right? Like, so with my sister, my Aquarius comes out, everything else leaves, and then my Aquarius comes out. And like a lot of people, like, for a long time, Leo and Aquarius being partner signs, I always thought that was like, that's a quite, you know, weird and tumultuous energies. But it's, when I started thinking about it, it's not that. Like, Aquarius is Merlin, okay, and Leo is King Arthur. All right, King Arthur, they're actually making a new movie about that. You guys might want to watch that, because you guys are King Arthur, right? Like, King Arthur has that pure heart. He's the only one who can pull out that sword, right? Like, but he couldn't get his mission done without Merlin, right? Like, Merlin had to, like, he made magic happen behind the scenes and protected King Arthur. And, you know, like, it's just, they need each other, right? They both couldn't complete their mission in life without each other. Okay, so it's like, and they saved the world, you know what I mean? Merlin and King Arthur, they saved the world, you know? Like, so it's like realizing your energy form, because Leos, you're needed to do certain things in life, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, you got missions to help people and save people and guide people. That's like, that's your energy, You know, the sun, we're going back to the sun and the solar flares, right? So like if you're not harnessing your energy correctly, then that means you're not nurturing people correctly, right? Like the sun needs to be it's the center stage, it's the focus, it's the star. So like if you're not using your energies correctly, that means you're flaring it out to other people. You're gonna knock their power out. You're gonna like set things off, and we need to harness that in so we can be use our energies correctly and nurture our relationships around us. Because what's coming in is like you have a new beginning, all right? So this is a new beginning in your relationships if you learn your energies, you know what I mean? So like getting angry and stuff like that in relationships, it's because you're holding in energy, and it becomes that flare, right? A massive flare, all right? And that can really destroy other people. So we got to do that in small bursts, which means that it's proper communication, all right? So like what the energy you have to do is the Wheel of Fortune, so you have to flip it, right? So it's like maybe what I talked about will help you guys come to some sort of realization there, right? Because what you have is a new this is what the universe is going to offer you. So it's emotional, right? So that like our flares happen when our emotions get out of hand. You know what I mean? Like if we allow our emotions to build up. So again, that comes back to communication. It's explaining the situation in the actual moment of it, instead of like letting it build up. And how do you know when something's being built up with a Leo? Okay, because all Leos, they do the lion thing. They do a little pace back and forth. All right, like you'll start noticing that when they're thinking about things, they kind of like walk back and forth. They pace a bit. You know what I mean? Like it's like the lion, right? Like just in the cage, just going back and forth, where, you know, like just planning his way out. Where, so like if you allow the emotions to come out in the moment, then it's not such a big deal, right? We don't have that flare, and like we can supply growth and light to other people, right? Because that's what the sun does. It supplies energy to other people, but it to the earth and, you know, other planets, but it also protects us from the universe's flares, right? Like the gamma rays that are coming from the universe, the sun absorbs a major portion of that. And a gamma ray happens out in the universe, like out of our solar system, at least once a day. You know what I mean? So Leos, once a day, we got to put ourselves in check. You know what I mean? And as long as we communicate in the moment, then we can keep that energy equal, right? That's like the sun and the moon are the only planets that another zodiac sign doesn't have. It's just Leo and Cancer hold those. You know what I mean? Every other planet out there, they share with another zodiac sign. You know, like Sagittarius just is ruled by Jupiter, but Pisces has the co-ruler of Jupiter. You know, Mars is only ruled with Aries, but Scorpio has a co-ruler, and it's Mars, right? So hopefully you guys get that message there with relationships, because if you make the proper adjustments, because the Wheel of Fortune is like it's like a clock, right? Tick, 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 tick. And that's what happens with a Leo when they're pacing. It's tick, 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 tick. And it's a matter of time before it goes completely around, and it's boom, the flare comes out, right? So like if you manage to control that, then you get, it's going to create a lot of benefits in all areas of your life, all relationships with your parents, your kids, you know what I mean? Things can't grow without the sun. So for work, learning, because we went into the North Node too, Leos, okay, so that means energy-wise we're quite, energy-wise, it's there's a lot of movement. So there's a lot of, like, around the planet, the sun, there's a lot of, like, picture a lot of little flares happening up. You know what I mean? It's happening now because we went into the North Node of Leo. So Leos are being pushed into center focus, right? So we got to get our energies under control here. We have the infinity symbol here. So that's like the positive and negative side of us. We got to get that flowing properly. And if we don't, there's a chance that there could be a missed opportunity, right? Like even in relationships, if we don't get that energy flowing correctly, well, then we're going to create arguments. Like, and as I said, with Leos, if it's a massive solar flare, then like we can create a lot of damage, right? So we want to contain that, right? Or we want to, like, even when we're in a mellow mode state, we're still giving off energy, right? So we got to be aware of the energy we're giving off. So it's positive thinking too, right? Get our minds right. So we're the protons and neutrons, the energy wise that are coming out of us are positive, right? Like, because that's what we're going to attract. What you have coming in for work, it could be a new opportunity, traveling. Some of you guys in relationships, well, like you have the Wheel of Fortune, the Fool, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, the Empress. You could have got married. There's a chance you could be partying too much, you know, like, but it's like in your relationship, there's some sort of celebrations that are going to be happening this month, which is quite nice. And somebody's going to give you some sort of emotional joy and, you know, a higher vibration. With the Knight of Wands here, you could be offered to go on a journey, a trip, you know, those of you who got married, it's a honeymoon or whatever. There's a chance here you could be offered a job, or to even move or change locations. We have the Two of Pentacles here. Some of you need some time off from work to recharge, you know what I mean? Get your energies correct here. You might not like that. It might be quite difficult. It is difficult for Leos. Leos worry a lot too, where if a Leo's going on vacation, well, like they start to like give themselves anxiety, and they just like start panicking and worrying because they're constantly worried about work. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to come back, and this and this and this, and then there's that, you know what I mean? They don't even rest when they're like on vacation. So there's a sense here you got to clear the mind out. You got to actually rest if you are on vacation. Don't worry about it. It's not going anywhere. It's gonna be there when you come back, right? Like, but with the Two of Pentacles here, there's a chance you might miss an opportunity for a job if your energies aren't correct, right? With the infinity symbol being on there too, when your energies are correct, you can get new opportunities that can come in. This card's ruled with Sagittarius, and that's Jupiter, so that's expansion, abundance. It's also a little bit more of a higher learning and knowledge too, right? Belief systems, right? Like, so like we're talking about getting your belief systems in check here. Like, what do you believe about yourself? Like, if it's negative, we got to get that positive, because the power that a Leo has, again, going back to the solar flares, you can really knock the energy out of people, right? Like, you can choose to give it to them or not give it to them. You know what I mean? And when the light goes out with a Leo, like that flare happens, then like it's darkness for everybody. You know what I mean? It can be quite miserable for everybody. So like, let's be aware of that, because once we get that in focus, then we can create a lot of positive change. At home, there seems to be this Five of Wands. Okay, so we're going back, because like with this card here, this guy's like a massive giant, right? I bought these cards because they remind me of like Merlin and King Arthur, like also like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but it's like Viking and mythology, a lot of these cards are. But this is like a giant, and this guy takes him out with the antlers. Nobody could kill the giant, and he takes him out with the antlers. So we're going, like, I'm going to use science again, like going back to the sun. The sun protects the earth from a lot of danger and being knocked out, you know what I mean? Being extinguished, right? Because it pulls in the asteroids and it burns them out, all right, with its gravitational pull. So like Leos, we have a gravitational pull, right? Like, and like, again, going back to the drama, Leos don't create the drama. It comes to them because we have a gravitational pull. That's what the sun does, you know what I mean? Like, so it's being aware that if people are being pulled and they're being argumentative, then again, we're going back to getting your energies correct, because the flare that can come out, right? Like, we choose whether we let things grow or we can send people into an ice age, you know what I mean? But the Leos are going to be the ones that decide that and create that. And with the Three of Wands here coming underneath it, it's like looking out at the horizons, right? So it's a new mindset we have to have at home, and be aware of what we're doing at home. With the Empress here, that means coming from a more of a nurturing aspect, right? So getting in touch with your feminine side, and Leo's a masculine sign. So getting in touch with their feminine side, being nurturing, loving, caring. That means for you gentlemen, even if you're older in your 60s or 50s, you know what I mean? Like kissing your wife, you know, holding hands, doing small gestures, washing the dishes every now and then for them. Simple things, right? It'll balance out energy. It's seeing things from a new perspective. So if you give love, then that's what it's going to be, what you receive. You might, at first it might cause a little problems, like because the energies are being shifted, you know, like because as the sun we have the power to shift the energies around us, like around everybody. That's what Leo does. It's, you have that power with the energies. So like it might unbalance things for a little bit, right? Because you're going to choose to switch up your thing if you, the energy that you're exuding, if you take on the Empress, male or female, right? It might cause some difficulties. Like we have the infinity, so the yin and yang, the energies are going to shift a bit, you know what I mean? And people might not be used to it, but once you make that adjustment, and it could be like 15 days of you switching it up, and then it could be create complications, but you're going to be pulling in the negative energy. Picture like the asteroids coming in and burning them out, where it'll eventually, after like 15 or 20 days of it, the energies will balance out, where it'll create a new beginning. If you see, it'll create a new beginning with the Empress. And well, it was this way, it's like that with the it'll create change in the earth realm first, and then it'll create it with the emotions. So it'll take some time for other people to get used to, right? And it's also going to take time for you to switch up those energies as well. But it's going to create positivity if you do it. I got a lot of energy today. So we have the Eight of Cups here, right? So this is like, you see this bloody trail here? He's looking out. He's left these old cups, so it's like the old way of doing things. He's left it behind. He sees a new way. There's new understanding. You know what I mean? And he's like, he's at a new point in his journey where it's like a new realization coming in, you know, because with this card here, we got the light coming down on the horse. You know what I mean? Again, going back to like, you might want to get around your Sagittarian friends, because Sagittarian and Leos, they got like I was saying with the planets, Jupiter absorbs a lot of the radiation that comes off from the sun. Like in Sagittarians, like because they're ruled by Jupiter, they also pull in asteroids as well, and they get rid of a lot of the bullies. You know, the things flying around in the orbit that could also come to the Earth, and they go in, and like nobody really knows much about the planet Jupiter, right? Because it's a big gas ball. It's massive, right? Like it's got quite a bit of moons around it too, right? So like that's why Sagittarians are known to be unpredictable, right? Like it's unpredictable because you don't really know much about the planet. But the thing is, when you get around a Sagittarius, they can bring light to situations, you know, where they can absorb some of that energy that you have, that negative energy, and transmute it, because it's, you know, they're known as the alchemist, right? Like, so Sagittarians are known to be firm and strong, and they're adaptable to the environment, right? So maybe a Sag can teach you something. I don't know. So get in touch with a Sag. You have the Ace of Wands coming in at work. It could be a new offer, a new spark, a new idea. You're gonna have to get your energies correct though before that comes in. So it could take some time. Take like 5 weeks, 3 weeks. Patience is needed. Patience with yourself is needed, and patience with the people around you is needed. All right, like remember what I was talking about with your energies, you guys. All right, so you got to be patient with others, and you got to be patient with yourself because of the power that you have. And then what we have is coming in is the sun. So again, at home, okay, with the sun, this is what not to do, and this is not to let your, not to flare up, okay, because we have the Five of Wands here. Don't let that solar flare come out and knock the wind out of everybody, right? Because you're going to send them into an ice age. And that's going to take some time for the sun to heat the environment up and melt the ice before things get back to normal. So it could be creating a circumstance that we don't need. You know what I mean? So, so again, it's coming back to in the moment when the situation happens, deal with it in the moment. Don't go into a cage and pace back and forth, Leos, because then it's just going to burst out, right? And this is what it's saying, the cards are saying not to do, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see what the... Okay, so again, we're coming back to this is communication, right? This is Mars and Aquarius. Okay, this card used to confuse me for a long time because it seems negative, right? It's like a lot of people say it's getting one up on everybody and stuff like that. Well, it's Mars and Aquarius. Mars and Aquarius and Capricorn. Capricorn Mars are the two signs that will always be victorious, right? Mars is the planet of like war, right? So like those, they're both ruled by Saturn too. They come from different perspectives. A Mars Capricorn, you can never screw them over because they always have the details, and like if you come to them, why did you do this? They have all the paperwork to back it up, you know, like they have all the evidence to back it up. And a Mars and Aquarius person, they sit back and they don't allow the exterior to affect their environment. It's internal, right? They know it's internal, so they consider all aspects, right? They're ruled by Saturn too, right? Aquarius is a co-ruler with Saturn, so like, and they do it in a unique way, right? Because it's Aquarius, it's unexpected, right? Like they're hard to pick up, an Aquarius, you know, they're very unexpected, and that's why a Mars and Aquarius person is always victorious. It's like victory over their adversaries, you know, like over their I don't want to say victims, but over their peers and stuff like that, right? Like in Leos, you guys have that power, right? Like going back to the solar flares, you have the power to be victorious, like whether people want it or not. You can take that light away from them, you know what I mean? And it's also with the sun here, okay? You got to be aware if your energies aren't correct, right? The sun also gives off toxic radiation, right? Like it's radiation. A person can get really sick if they get exposed to too much radiation, right? So if your energies aren't correct, that means that you're going to give off radiation, right? Is with the create problems. People, you know, like, so in order to get victory over things, it's saying that like with the Mars and Aquarius, they consider all aspects. They make great psychologists, so they consider all factors. That's why they win, because they have the greater good in mind, right? What's best for everybody, right? Like they can separate their emotions. They come from a very like a psychological point of view. You know what I mean? Like in psychology, you understand where things are coming from. You know what I mean? So like when a person's angry, like a Mars and Aquarius person understands that it's coming from hurt and pain that the person's feeling, or disappointment, right? Like if people are arguing, it's because they're hurt. They're feeling, if they're quiet all the time, you know what I mean? They're feeling like there's not enough attention being given, you know? All right, that's going to be it. Hopefully that helped you guys out, and I will talk to you soon. Ciao for now.